Hi and welcome to another vocabulary video. This session is on antonyms, so opposite words. This is the condensed version of our 1 hour live sessions that we hold each week. Condensed means made smaller, shorter. So we're just going to run through the key points from this, but if you would like to join our weekly live vocabulary course and get the full worksheet pack and tutorial, then just visit the link in our description. You can go to kinlearning.com and sign up there. As usual, we're going to start with some prefixes and root words here. So starting with X. Hopefully you've remembered that X means out. You can think of X words like exterior, extinguish. So to put something out, exterior means the outside of something. Also, if you excel in something, you go outside of the usual levels of performance. So X means out. Pre, we've spoken about this a few times in recent weeks. Pre as in perhaps prehistoric, prefix as well. So think about where a prefix goes if you're not sure what pre means. Premature also is another pre-word. So prefixes go at the beginning of a word, and so prefix goes with, it goes over here with before. Prefix goes before the word. Pro, another one that we've spoken about quite a bit recently. You could have protract. So project is to throw forward, protract, progress. When you progress, you're moving forward. So pro goes with forward. Anti, I'm running out of room to write these, but we can just think about some anti-words. Anti-clockwise is probably the most common anti-word that you would know. An antagonist in a book, I'll write it over here. Antagonist, they work against the hero in a book. So they're kind of the villain in a book. So anti goes with against. When something goes anti-clockwise, it goes against the clockwise movement. Now you probably know lots of re-words. You can have a think about some of the ones that you know. Reverse is a good one. Rewind, retract. There are lots and lots of others. Maybe you can make a list at home for yourself as well. So rewind, you go back in the video. Reverse, the car goes back if you're reversing a car. So re goes with back. D as in descending order. We talked about send last week, which meant climb. So if you put numbers in descending order, they are climbing down. So D goes with down. And then last one, vox goes with voice. We don't have many words with vox in them, but we do have words like vocal, which is to do with using your voice. And we'll talk about some other vox words later in this session. The first antonyms we're going to talk about are in and out words. So prefixes that mean in, very straightforward. In can be used as a prefix to mean in, so you can't forget that one. And im is used sometimes, and even m occasionally, although we're not going to talk about any m words today. So these prefixes mean in. And then we've just spoken about prefixes that mean out. You would have x to mean out. Okay, we're going to go on to some words in a second, and then we'll discuss their antonyms. However, I need to issue a warning. You need to be aware of pseudo-antonyms. Pseudo-antonyms. Pseudo means fake or false. For example, when someone uses a pseudonym, you might write something using a pseudonym. That's using a false name. It's not your real name. So pseudo-antonyms are false antonyms, which is a little difficult to get your head around at first, but actually it's quite interesting. So pseudo-antonyms are words that sound like they should be opposites, but actually they're not. So for example, intend. In means in, So you would think that if we change that prefix to X, they would be opposite words, but they're actually not. They don't have anything to do with each other. Intend is what you mean to do. So if you hurt someone, you might say, that was not my intention. It was not what I meant to do. Whereas extend means something entirely different. Extend means to make something longer. So when you're going through some of these antonyms, just beware of pseudo-antonyms. You can't always just change the prefix and get the antonym, but sometimes you can, so sometimes it's easy. Okay, the first word we're going to learn the definition of today is mediocre. So this is said mediocre. That means not very good, only average. Just don't get confused when we say that mediocre means not very good. It doesn't mean that you're bad, it just means that you're middling. You're not excellent and you're not terrible, you're just in the middle. So mediocre. Write that sentence down for me. Write that definition down, and I'll give you an example sentence. Although he is an enthusiastic art student, his work is mediocre. So that's unfortunate. You're putting lots of work into something and then it's still only average. Mediocre. You can also pause these videos, by the way, don't forget, if you need a bit more time to write the definitions. Okay, extrovert. An extrovert is a sociable person. Now, sociable relates to the word social. You'll have been hearing a lot about social at the moment because we are social distancing. So social is to do with other people and speaking to other people, and right now we're not supposed to be speaking to people outside of our homes, so we are social distancing. We're keeping our distance from our friends and other people. So if you are a sociable person, that means you like going out and being social. You like speaking to people. That's what makes you happy. So if you are an extrovert, you are a sociable person. You might want to put, if you aren't sure you'll remember what sociable means, for the definition of extrovert, you can put someone that is confident in meeting others. Now, extrovert, just so you know, the X obviously means out, vert means to turn. So if you're an extrovert, you're literally turning outwards towards other people. Our example sentence for extrovert is, I hate parties because there are too many people, but my sister, an extrovert, loves them. Extend. I mentioned this a minute ago. Hopefully you remember what it meant. So it's to make something larger or cause it to last longer. Example, the quarantine period was extended by 2 weeks. It was made longer. Just pop that definition down on paper so that you're more likely to remember it next time. And then export. Export is to send something to another country to sell. The root word here, the root word port means to carry. You may know some other port words like transport. Trans means across. So to transport is to carry across. Import means you carry something into the country, and then export means you carry something out. Now, try as a little exercise at home to pause this video and find antonyms for the words on the screen. I'll give you the answers in a second. Okay, so an antonym for mediocre, you could have exceptional. So very good, extremely good. Extrovert, this has a true antonym, not a pseudo-antonym. So the opposite of an extrovert is an introvert. Extend. Now don't fall for the pseudo-antonyms here. We have to use a completely different word as an antonym for extend. We can use shorten. And then the opposite of export is import. Now we're talking about forgetting and remembering, so those opposites. Oblivio, the root word, means forget, and obliterate means erased. So they're kind of similar in that something is gone from your memory or just gone from existence. Any words with memor, in them tend to relate to memories and remembering. So as long as you remember remember, then you'll be fine. Our first word here is oblivion. So remember, oblivio means forget. So oblivion is the state of being forgotten, and it's also destruction or extinction. The example sentence is, he used to be all over the television until he disappeared into oblivion. So it's like they just were extinct all of a sudden. They've disappeared. Memorable. So memorable. You want to be able to be remembered. So this word means easily remembered. For example, the girl dressed up nicely and carefully selected a song for her audition because she wanted to be memorable. Oblivious. For example, I was waving maniacally from across the street, but my friend was totally oblivious. So, oopsie. Just remember, oblivio, forgotten. So if you are oblivious to something, you're not aware of what is happening around you. Let's actually just change that me to 1. Not aware of what's happening around you. When people say you seem like you're in your own little world, that's because you seem oblivious. So you have completely lost awareness of what's happening around you. A memoir. Just change the definition of memoir slightly. I'll explain why. So a memoir, for example, someone might say, my friend has been writing a memoir about her childhood in Iran. So a memoir is very similar to an autobiography, which is why I've changed it to auto instead of just biography, because a memoir is usually written by the person themselves. And it's the story of an event that that person has experienced. It may not be exactly like an autobiography, because an autobiography is the story of usually someone's whole life, whereas a memoir may focus just on a period of a few years. It's a short version of that person's life, or just telling you about a major event. Remember, mem has to do with memory, so memoir, it's just what you remember of that event. So write down, please, memoir is the story of an event written by the person that experienced it. Semicolon, an autobiography. Obliterate. Remember, obliterate meant erase. So to obliterate something, obliterate meant erased. To obliterate is to erase or change by erasing, or to destroy entirely. When I say change by erasing, a statue might be obliterated if someone maybe did something to its face. So although the statue is still standing, it has been changed so much that it's hardly recognisable. So you've done something to it, you've erased part of it, and that would count as obliterating it. And finally, immemorial, happening so long ago that it is before memory or record. For example, teachers have existed since time immemorial. And just to remind you, on our full vocab course, we have children participating throughout this discussion. So you get the opportunity to ask questions about these and come up with some example sentences yourself that are checked by a teacher. Now finally, we have forwards and backwards words. Forwards, you may remember, came the prefix pro, meant forwards. And the prefix for backwards was re. Okay, so let's look at some pro and re words. So to propel is to drive or push something forward. For example, boats and aircraft have propellers that help them to start moving, to help them to go forward. Pel comes from peller, meaning to drive, by the way. So this word literally means to drive forward. Okay, the next one, proceed. To proceed is to begin something or to carry on or continue. So you may say, let's proceed with the meeting. So you're beginning it in that case, but you may be interrupted and then proceed despite an interruption. So you decide to carry on. Provoke. Now I promised you would have a word relating to vox, and that word is voke. The voke part of this word comes from vox, meaning voice or to call. and then pro means forward. So to provoke means to call forward. So you can think of calling forward that emotion, anger. So to provoke someone is to annoy or anger them on purpose. An example sentence might be, the horse may kick if he is provoked. So we have to try not to provoke people because we may not like the consequences. Okay. Revoke means to officially cancel. Now we've got a pair of pseudo-antonyms here. You would think provoke and revoke mean opposite things, but they actually don't. So provoke is to annoy or anger on purpose. Revoke is to officially cancel. For example, the boy had been driving dangerously, so the judge revoked his license. He called it back. He took it back. Right, that's all for today, folks. Don't forget to visit kinlearning.com for more information on our online courses. We'd love to see you there. If you want to make sure that these memories are stuck in your mind and remembered for any exams, but also just for general improvement, then try and get someone to test you on the words. They can maybe give you some clues to help you to remember the words, to recall them, and also try and use some of the words from this session in sentences. You can write them at home on your own. And you can use a thesaurus to look up the antonyms of the words that we've covered today. Okay, guys, see you next time.